Ambassador Trill stood motionless before the massive display screen, his 4 eyes blinking in disbelief. The survey data couldn't be right. He ordered the ship's computer to run the scans again, but the results remained the same. "Captain," he called out, his voice trembling slightly. "Please verify these readings." Captain Reed of the Galactic survey ship Star Seeker floated over on his gravity pad. His translucent skin showed the obvious signs of stress, rapid color changes from blue to green. "Ambassador, we've run the tests 5 times now. The readings are accurate." Reed's tentacles twisted nervously. "This planet, it's unlike anything we've ever classified before." The world that filled their view screen was a swirling mass of blues and whites, with great patches of green and brown visible through gaps in the cloud cover. But it wasn't the planet's appearance that disturbed them. It was the data. "Look at these readings." Trill pointed with one of his upper limbs. "The gravity is crushing. 9.8 meters per second squared. The atmospheric pressure would collapse most species' lungs. The temperature range." He paused, double-checking the numbers. "It swings from below freezing to scorching heat, sometimes in the same day." Reed moved closer to the screen. "The radiation levels from their star should make complex life impossible. And yet we're detecting civilization." Trill finished. "Advanced civilization." The sensors showed sprawling cities, transportation networks, and even primitive space stations in orbit. All of this on a planet that by galactic standards should be completely uninhabitable. "Show me the biological scans," Trill ordered. The screen filled with data about the planet's dominant species. They were tall, bipedal creatures with only 2 eyes and no protective exoskeleton. Their internal biology was even more shocking. They had internal bones made of calcium, muscles that could exert tremendous force, and a digestive system that could process both plant and animal matter. "They're endothermic," Reed noted with horror. "They maintain a constant body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. The energy requirements alone." "Look at this," Trill interrupted. "They're mostly water. Water. Walking around in containers made of protein and calcium. Just carrying water." He couldn't wrap his mind around such a fragile-seeming design surviving on this monster of a planet. The bridge crew gathered around as more data poured in. The humans, as they called themselves, didn't just survive on their Deathworld. They thrived. They ran for entertainment. They climbed frozen mountains for fun. They swam in their world's corrosive oceans filled with predators. "We have to report this to the Council," Trill decided. "This goes beyond our normal classification system. The highest Deathworld we've encountered before this was Class 12, and that was an uninhabited hell planet in the Scorpius sector." Reed's skin had settled into a pale yellow of concern. "What do we classify this as?" "Class 13, Trill said firmly. "We'll have to create an entirely new category. And we need to approach first contact very carefully. A species that evolved on such a world." He left the thought unfinished. As if to emphasize his point, the sensors picked up a new reading. A massive storm system forming over one of the planet's oceans, with wind speeds that could strip the flesh from any normal being. On the surface below, the humans were simply going about their daily lives, barely paying attention to what the galactic community would consider a catastrophic event. "Send the report to the Council," Trill ordered. "Mark it as urgent, and add a personal note from me. We're not dealing with just another spacefaring race here. These humans," he searched for the right words, "they're going to change everything we think we know about life in this galaxy." As the message was sent, Trill continued to watch the screen, fascinated and terrified by the world below. The galactic community had no idea what was coming. Their neat, orderly universe was about to meet its biggest challenge yet: humanity. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 300 species packed the circular room, their voices creating a storm of worried whispers. At the center, Professor Dax, head of the Planetary Classification Committee, tried to maintain order. "Please, everyone, Dax's crystalline form sparkled under the chamber's lights. We must approach this systematically. The holographic display in the middle of the chamber showed Earth rotating slowly, data streams flowing around it. Ambassador Trill stood nearby, ready to present his findings. "This can't be correct," called out a gaseous being floating in its containment sphere. "No species could evolve in such conditions. The gravity alone would crush most life forms." Professor Dax raised all four of his crystal appendages for silence. "Let's examine the facts. Ambassador Trill, please proceed." Trill stepped forward, his report ready. "The humans don't just survive these conditions. They consider them mild. Their young play in gravitational forces that would shatter our bones, if we had any." The chamber erupted again. The liquid-based life form in its hovering tank bubbled furiously. "They expose their young to such dangers. Are they savages?" "No," Trill responded calmly. "They're highly advanced. But their definition of danger is different from ours. Watch this." The hologram changed to show a human running. The assembled aliens watched in horror as the creature's legs pounded against the ground, its joints absorbing shocking amounts of force. "They do this for entertainment," Trill explained. "They call it jogging." A collective shudder ran through the chamber. Professor Dax's crystalline surface flickered with concern. "We must discuss their classification. Our current system clearly doesn't account for such extreme conditions. Their weather patterns alone would qualify their world as a Class 10 Deathworld," one scientist noted. "Add in the gravity, atmospheric composition, and biological hazards. And their predators," another voice called out. "They share their world with creatures that could tear apart most sentient species." Trill advanced the hologram. "Indeed, look at this creature they keep in their homes. They call it a cat." The image showed a small furry predator with sharp claws and teeth. "They pet these killers and feed them processed food." The chamber fell silent, trying to process this information. Professor Dax spoke again, his voice resonating through the crystal growths that served as his speech organs. "We must create a new classification. Earth exceeds all parameters of our class 12 system. I propose designating it as the first Class 13 Deathworld." "What about diplomatic contact?" asked a methane-breathing delegate. "How do we safely interact with such resilient beings?" Trill activated another hologram, showing human environmental suits. "They've developed protective gear for us. They understand their world is dangerous to other life forms. They're willing to accommodate our needs." "How considerate," someone muttered sarcastically. "The Deathworlders want to protect us." Professor Dax's surface rippled with decision patterns. Then it settled. "Earth will be classified as a Class 13 Deathworld, and all contact protocols will be adjusted accordingly. We must prepare our species for interaction with humans. They're not deliberately dangerous, but their casual actions could harm us accidentally." As the chamber began to empty, Trill and Dax remained, studying the rotating image of Earth. "Do you think we're ready for them?" Dax asked quietly. Trill watched a simulation of a human lifting weights, casually handling forces that could crush most alien beings. "No," he admitted, "but they're ready for us. They've been dreaming of meeting alien life for centuries. And despite their strength, despite their resilience, do you know what they want most?" "What?" "To learn from us. To share knowledge. They're excited to join the galactic community." Trill's eyes blinked in sequence. Perhaps that's the most surprising thing about humans. Their greatest strength isn't their physical power, but their endless curiosity. Captain Mike wiped the sweat from his forehead as he finished loading the last cargo container onto his ship, the Star Trader. He didn't understand why the alien dock workers were making such a fuss. The containers weren't that heavy, only about 100 pounds each. "Please, honored human." The dock supervisor, a tall insectoid named Pip, waved his four arms in distress. "You must wait for the lifting machines. Your species' health insurance does not cover self-inflicted injuries." Mike laughed. picking up another container just to watch Pip's compound eyes flutter in panic. "These are light boxes, friend. Back on Earth, I used to load trucks with stuff twice this weight." The entire loading dock fell silent. 3 workers fainted, their anti-gravity belts automatically lowering them gently to the ground. "Is this normal for your species?" Pip asked, his antennae twitching nervously. "To carry such crushing weights?" "Pretty normal, yeah." Mike shrugged, not understanding the fuss. "Look, I've got 20 more deliveries today. How about I just finish loading up?" Before Pip could protest further, the station's environmental alarms went off. A red light flashed, and a computerized voice announced, "Warning. Environmental control malfunction in dock section 7. Temperature dropping to 10 degrees Celsius. All non-protected personnel must evacuate immediately." The alien workers rushed for the emergency exits. Pip turned to warn Mike, but stopped in confusion. The human was just standing there, checking his tablet computer. "Captain Mike, you must evacuate. The temperature, it's becoming lethal." Mike looked up, surprised. 10 degrees. That's nothing. It's like a nice spring day on Earth. "I'll keep working. Got deadlines to meet." Pitt's translator almost shorted out trying to process this. The human was going to continue physical labor in what most species considered killing cold. He watched in amazement as Mike continued loading containers, now whistling a tune. The story of the human who worked through lethal cold spread quickly through the station. By the time Mike finished his deliveries, he had become something of a celebrity. The station's security chief requested a meeting. "So, Captain," the chief, a glowing energy being contained in a hovering sphere, pulsed with curiosity. "You really felt no discomfort?" "Well, I did have to put on my jacket," Mike admitted. "But otherwise, it was fine. Though I got to ask, why's the artificial gravity so low here? Makes me feel like I'm bouncing around." The chief's glow flickered in surprise. "Low? This station maintains 0.7 Earth gravity. Most species consider it uncomfortably high." Mike scratched his head. "Huh. No wonder everything feels so light. Speaking of which, you might want to reinforce your doors. I accidentally pulled one off its hinges yesterday. Didn't realize they were so delicate." Later that day, Mike sat in the station's cantina, enjoying his meal. He had cleared a small space around himself. Other species kept their distance, a mixture of awe and fear in their various sensory organs. Only Pip dared to approach his table. "The other workers have questions," Pip said nervously. "About Earth?" "Sure, ask away." Mike took a bite of his sandwich. "Is it true that your world has giant masses of dihydrogen monoxide that move and crash into your shores?" "You mean oceans? Yeah, we call those waves. Great for surfing." Pip's antennae went completely straight. "You deliberately ride on walls of moving water?" "For fun, yeah. Wait till I tell you about skydiving." The story of Mike's casual conversation spread through the station even faster than his loading bay feet. That evening, the station's governing council held an emergency meeting about safety protocols for human visitors. Meanwhile, Mike relaxed in his ship, typing his daily report. "Port visit normal. Minor equipment issues. Recommend stronger door hinges. Local gravity surprisingly light. Nice folks, though kind of jumpy. Will return next week for regular delivery." He had no idea that his simple cargo run had just rewritten the station's entire safety manual and given half the administrative staff nightmares about humans accidentally destroying the station through their daily activities. Dr. Anna stood before the Galactic Science Council, trying not to laugh at their reactions. She had just shown them a simple Earth picnic video, and the entire room was in chaos. "You mean to tell us," Professor Lum, a floating brain in a protective tank, bubbled through his translator, "that humans gather outdoors, in direct sunlight, to consume food, in the presence of microorganisms?" "Well, yes," Anna replied, pointing to the screen. "It's quite fun. We bring blankets, sandwiches, maybe some fruit." "Stop!" shouted another scientist, their crystalline form flashing red with alarm. "Are you saying you eat plants and animal products?" At the same time, Anna nodded. "We're omnivores. Pretty much every human is. Watch this." She played a clip of someone eating a hamburger. 3 council members had to be escorted out. One started making high-pitched noises that broke several glass containers. "This is impossible," Professor Lum insisted. "No species can safely process both plant and animal matter. The chemical reactions alone." "Oh, that's not even the interesting part," Anna said cheerfully, pulling up another slide. "Let me tell you about our digestive system's ability to handle capsaicin." The presentation on human spice tolerance had to be paused twice for medical emergencies. When Anna explained that humans deliberately sought out foods that caused pain for enjoyment, one alien scientist began writing a thesis suggesting that all humans were secretly masochists. "And this?" Professor Lum pointed a mechanical appendage at a new image. "What is this liquid humans are consuming?" "That's coffee," Anna explained. "It's a stimulant beverage we drink in the morning. It contains caffeine. You deliberately consume poison for breakfast." The crystalline scientist had turned completely white. "It's not really poison to us," Anna tried to explain. "It just makes us more alert. Some of us drink it several times a day." The room erupted in frightened whispers. One scientist was frantically calculating how much energy it would take to evolve such poison resistance. "Please," Professor Lum raised his mechanical arms for silence. "Dr. Anna, what about these small organisms you allow to live in your dwellings?" "You mean pets? Oh, they're wonderful. Look." She showed a video of her cat sleeping on her lap. "This is Mr. Whiskers. He's a sweetheart. You let a predator with sharp claws and killing instincts sleep on your body." "He's very cuddly," Anna defended, "though he does sometimes attack my feet under the blanket at night." 3 more scientists had to leave the room. "And these?" Professor Lum pointed to another image, desperate to find something less terrifying about humans. "Those are bacteria. They live in our gut and help us digest food. We have billions of them." The entire council took a mandatory 5-minute break to process this information. When they returned, Anna decided to show them something calming. "Here's a video of humans enjoying nature." She played footage of people swimming in the ocean. "Nt acidic death water," someone screamed. "It's not acidic to us," Anna said. "Though we do have to be careful of sharks. There are large predators in this water. And you style into it." "Well, yeah. Sometimes we even build little houses near the beach, so we can swim whenever we want." Professor Lum's brain pulsed rapidly in his tank. "Dr. Anna, I have one final question. Do humans feel fear? At all?" Anna thought for a moment. "Of course we do. We're scared of lots of things, like public speaking, or calling to make doctor's appointments, or when the toast pops up even though we're the ones who pushed it down." The council chamber was silent for a full minute. Finally, Professor Lum spoke. "I believe we need to revise the Class 13 Deathworld classification. Perhaps Class 14. And we should probably add a warning label. Caution. Species may not understand concept of danger." Anna just smiled and prepared her next slide. The one about extreme sports. She decided to save the part about eating raw fish in sushi for another day. The council probably couldn't handle any more surprises right now. Commander Tom stood at the observation deck of the Galactic Defense Force training facility, watching the chaos unfold below. This was supposed to be a simple joint training exercise. Instead, it had turned into another demonstration of why humans terrify the galactic community. "Sir," his alien second-in-command, Major Kix, floated nervously beside him. "The human soldiers are doing it again." "Doing what, Major?" "They're running, without powered assistance, in full combat gear. For fun." Tom looked down at his human troops jogging around the training ground. carrying their standard issue packs. To them, it was just a normal morning workout. To the alien observers, it was a horrifying display of endurance. "Stop them." A high-ranking alien officer rushed onto the deck. "Their bones will shatter. Their muscles will tear." "Actually," Tom said calmly, "this is just their warm-up." The alien officer's color-changing skin went completely white. The real excitement started when they began the combat drills. The human soldiers demonstrated their ability to throw grenades, something most alien species needed mechanical assistance to do because of the weight and force required. "Watch this," Tom said proudly as one of his soldiers performed a combat roll, came up shooting, then scaled a 3-meter wall using just her arms and legs. Several alien observers had to sit down. One started writing a report titled "Humans: Natural Breaking of Physics." "But how?" Major Kix asked, his eye stalks wobbling in disbelief. "The strength required. The coordination. We're built for this kind of thing," Tom explained. "On Earth, our ancestors had to chase down prey until it got tired. We're natural persistence hunters." The alien officers watched in horror as Tom described how ancient humans would track animals for days, never letting them rest, until the prey simply collapsed from exhaustion. "Your species hunted by terrorizing prey into surrendering to death?" one asked, backing away slightly. "We still do something similar for fun," Tom added. "We call it a marathon." The afternoon's demonstration of human combat medicine caused even more concern. A soldier scraped his knee during training, a wound that would have sent most alien species into emergency care. The human just cleaned it, put a bandage on it, and went back to training. "Your body, it heals itself?" Major Kix asked in wonder. "Sure. Cuts, bruises, even broken bones eventually. Takes a while, but we manage." The final straw came during environmental survival training. The humans demonstrated their ability to survive in what other species considered extreme conditions: rain, snow, desert heat. "This is impossible," the alien officer muttered, watching humans build shelters in simulated harsh weather. "They adapt to any environment. They heal from injuries. They don't tire. We're just doing what comes naturally," Tom said with a shrug. "Though I admit, your environmental conditions are pretty comfortable, like a luxury resort." Later that evening, Tom received an urgent message from Galactic Command. All joint training exercises were to be suspended pending a review of safety protocols. Attached was a medical report suggesting that several alien observers had developed new anxiety disorders after watching humans in action. "I don't get it," Tom said to Major Kix as they finished their reports. "We didn't even show them the really impressive stuff. Wait until they see our special forces." Kix's translator crackled as he tried to respond, then gave up and just made a sound that universal translators decoded as nervous whimpering. In his private quarters, Tom wrote in his log, "Another successful day of joint training. Alien allies continue to show concern over basic human capabilities. Recommend reducing intensity of demonstrations by 60%. Note, still haven't told them about hockey or rugby. Saving that for when they're better prepared." Little did Tom know that footage from the day's training had already gone viral across the galactic internet, labeled, "Warning: Extreme content. Deathworlders in action." Alex wasn't trying to be a hero. He was just doing his job as a maintenance worker on Galactic Station 7 when everything went wrong. The station's alarms blared as Alex was fixing a broken food dispenser. The computer's voice echoed through the corridors. "Critical failure in life support section 4. Extreme temperature drop. Toxic atmosphere leak. All personnel evacuate immediately." Alex checked his tablet. Life Support 4 was right next to the main alien diplomatic quarters. Through the station's cameras, he could see several alien diplomats trapped inside their chambers, their emergency suits malfunctioning. "Control, this is Maintenance Tech Alex. What's the situation in Section 4? The controller's voice crackled back, panic evident even through the static. Temperature at -20°C. Atmosphere mixing with space vacuum. Emergency teams are 30 minutes out. Alex looked at the readings again. -20. That was like winter in Minnesota, and partial vacuum. He could hold his breath for a bit. Those diplomats won't survive 30 minutes, he muttered, then made his decision. Control, I'm going in. Ninyi Jtai. The controller screamed. The conditions are lethal. You'll die instantly. Alex was already running toward Section 4. Nah, it's fine. I used to work on outdoor telecoms in Wisconsin. This is nothing. He reached the emergency door. Behind him, station security officers were yelling about safety protocols and death waivers. Alex took a deep breath, punched in his override code, and stepped through. The cold hit him first, crisp and sharp, but nothing he hadn't felt before. The thin air made his ears pop. Just like climbing mountains, he said to himself, moving forward. Through the frosted windows of their quarters, the alien diplomats watched in horror as a human walked through what they considered a death zone, wearing nothing but his standard maintenance uniform. Alex reached the first door and forced it open manually. The power was out. Inside, a crystalline being was flickering weakly. It's okay, Alex said, picking up the alien carefully. I'll get you out. Over the next 10 minutes, Alex made multiple trips into the damaged section. Each time, he held his breath, ran in, grabbed another diplomat, and carried them to safety. To him, it was uncomfortable, but manageable. To the aliens, it was like watching someone swim through lava. By the time the emergency teams arrived in their fully sealed environment suits, Alex had rescued 16 diplomats. He sat in the medical bay, drinking hot chocolate while doctors frantically checked him for signs of death. Impossible. The chief medical officer, a floating gas being in a protective sphere, swirled in agitation. You survived temperatures that freeze most liquids. In near vacuum, without protection. It was pretty cold, Alex admitted. My fingers are a bit numb. Got any more hot chocolate? The story spread through the station like wildfire. By evening, Alex had received grateful messages from 17 different planetary governments. 3 species had added new warnings about humans to their diplomatic handbooks. The station manager, a tall insectoid, called Alex to his office. Do you understand what you did today? The manager asked, mandible switching. Fixed the life support, rescued some folks, finished my shift. Alex replied. Sorry about taking an extra 15 minutes on my lunch break. The rescue thing ran long. The manager's translator crackled as it tried to process this response. You survived conditions that would kill 99.9% of known species, the manager explained slowly, while carrying beings twice your size to safety, without powered assistance. Alex shrugged. Someone needed help. Didn't seem right to wait. That night, Alex wrote in his work log, completed routine maintenance on food dispensers in Section 2. Assisted with minor life support issue in Section 4. Note, request better insulation for maintenance uniforms. Got a bit chilly today. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council was holding an emergency session about the human situation. The main topic, how do you handle a species that considers freezing vacuum a bit chilly? 1 year after Earth's introduction to the galactic community, Ambassador Trill stood before the Grand Council for his annual report. The massive chamber was packed. Everyone wanted to hear about the humans. Fellow beings, Trill began, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. I am pleased to report the human integration has been interesting. Holograms appeared around the chamber, showing various scenes from the past year. A human construction worker casually lifting beams that normally required powered exoskeletons. A human chef taste-testing alien foods that could dissolve metal. A human child playing with what most species considered a dangerous predator, a puppy. As we've learned, Trill continued, humans are full of surprises. Last week, a human tourist saved a sinking pleasure craft by swooning out in what we consider toxic water in the dark, during a storm. The chamber erupted in worried whispers. When asked why he did something so dangerous, he said, and I quote, "I was already wet from the rain. So why not?" Several council members needed calming medications. But here's what's truly remarkable. Trill said, changing the holograms. "Look at what humans have contributed to our community in just 1 year." The images shifted to show new developments. Humans had redesigned space stations to be more disaster-resistant. They'd created new emergency protocols that actually worked in extreme conditions. Their simple mechanical solutions often worked better than complex technological ones. "Yes, they terrify us," Trill admitted. "But they also protect us." When that asteroid threatened the colony on New Venus, who volunteered to plant the charges? Humans. Their reason? Someone had to do it. The holograms showed footage of human doctors working with alien patients, carefully adjusting their incredible strength to help rather than harm. Human engineers teaching others how to build stronger structures. Human scientists excited to learn about new worlds, even ones that could kill them instantly. They're endlessly curious, Trill noted. Last month, a human scientist asked if she could study our most dangerous predator. When told it could eat her in one bite, she said fascinating, and started planning the expedition. Nervous laughter rippled through the chamber. But most importantly, Trill continued, they're kind. Despite their power, despite their resilience, humans consistently show concern for other species. They modify their behavior to make us comfortable. They build special environments for us. They even pretend to be scared of things just to make us feel better. The final hologram showed various scenes of humans and aliens working together. A human soldier gently helping an alien child. A human teacher patiently explaining Earth concepts to alien students. A human diplomat learning alien customs, carefully controlling their strength to participate in delicate ceremonies. Yes, Earth is a Class 13 death world, Trill concluded. Yes, humans are physically capable of things that frighten us, but they're also capable of something equally impressive. Adaptation. Not just to environments, but to other species' needs and fears. As the council session ended, Trill met with the human ambassador, Jake, in the station's garden dome. "How'd it go?" Jake asked, carefully sipping from a cup designed for beings with much more delicate hands. "Well, only 3 council members fainted this time," Trill replied. "Last year it was 12. We're making progress." Jake laughed, then noticed Trill's slight flinch at the sudden sound. "Sorry," he said more quietly. "Still learning to tone it down." "And we're still learning to tone it up," Trill admitted. "Some of our species are studying human exercise programs. Very carefully, of course." They watched the artificial sunset together. One being who evolved in the harshest known conditions in the galaxy, and one who still couldn't believe humans casually drank caffeine for fun. "You know what's funny?" Jake said. "On Earth, we always wondered if we'd be the weakest species in the galaxy. We never imagined being the scary ones." "Trust humans," Trill replied with what passed for a smile in his species, "to be scary and friendly at the same time."